Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. With that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors.
Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. With that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Hello, my name is Hayley Lynn. I'm a Portland singer-songwriter, indie artist, and happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me today.
Thank you so much for being here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do, give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Oh yeah. So Tinder profile, gosh, it's been so long. I am a moody feeler, singer-songwriter, writer, especially ex-actress.
Oh, okay.
And just a spooky gal. I don't know.
That's
filming this during October, and I'm just like, yes,
oh yeah, this is your time.
my time.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So
and what got you into music initially?
Yeah. So what got me into music was probably just listening to a whole bunch of my parents' records when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. They had that old school vinyl, not like a full one, but like a half one.
Gotcha. Was it like the 45s?
Yeah. So we just listened to all sorts of just vinyl from the Monkees to the Beatles to Fleetwood Mac and everything ever since I was a kid. And then I had my first experience in my best friend's father's home studio when I was 8, where he had these backing tracks. He was like, yeah, let's just record something. And I'm like, okay, let's do something. So we made a little song, and it was the best experience I've ever had. And it made me just want to keep going back into the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was it like a home studio, or was it like a big space?
I mean, for being 8 and...
Yeah, I guess perspective is a little skewed.
It felt big, but looking back, it was a home studio. It was above the garage in their home, and they had sound panels and everything. They had a booth. He had a really nice mic. I don't know what kind it was at the time, but it's really cool. And yeah, I mean, for having just a home studio, it had all the bells and whistles. So it just felt like such a real experience as an 8-year-old.
Yeah, that's a really cool early experience to have.
Yeah.
And then did you pick up any instruments after that point?
Oh, well, even before then, when I was in school, we learned all sorts of different instruments, obviously the recorder when you're young, but I actually learned how to play the cello and saxophone when I was around that same age, up until I was in middle school.
Oh, wow.
Where I kept playing these instruments. And so I just had music all the time in my life in all sorts of ways. I really loved saxophone when I played it, and I was in my school's jazz band in middle school, so that was really fun. But yeah, I just always had something creative, something musical around me as a kid growing up. We just had one of those households where we had a piano in the living room, and we just would sing songs together whenever we hung out as a family. So it just was always there, and it was always just such a creative space.
Yeah.
I was really lucky growing up to have all those elements all the time. One of my favorite memories was my dad like when my mom wasn't home, she was like away, like he'd play like Talking Heads and Pink Floyd, and we would just dance in the kitchen, like screaming and singing those songs together, and that was just really fun. And when I was in middle school or like in high school, my dad would just always have those burnt CDs, all his favorite like Cyndi Lauper or Eurythmics, like just classic female fronted like singers, and he'd always like send them to me, be like, "Hey, I made you a new burnt CD," and I'm like, "Thanks, Dad." So, yeah, like it was just everywhere.
Yeah, that's awesome. You were getting introduced to so much like good music.
Yeah. Like the way that my dad loved music really kind of just kindled that like passion for me. My whole family, they were into music. My sister turned into a dancer.
Oh, cool.
And that's like her passion that she pursued. But I was not as gifted at dancing, so naturally I had to make the music that made her dance. So that was really wonderful.
Yeah, that's rad.
Yeah.
And then when did the acting happen?
Acting happened around the same time as everything. I was when I was 8 to 10, there was this summer camp that me and my sister would go to called Willowbrook. And they would have plays every single week where they would put up, cast, and get all the plays out there around the same time every single week. So every week there was a new show, a new production. And it always kind of went a little chaotic, as you naturally would. Yeah. Because all these kids are just learning these lines like in a week. Yeah. And they're editing the scripts to kind of make it like not a full thing, because some plays were just too long. But that was probably a big moment for me, was realizing how much I loved acting and plays and everything. I had a reading disorder when I was younger. I was dyslexic. I'm dyslexic. I was undiagnosed, but it made things a lot harder for me, because I noticed that all my friends, they would just read books and like they'd finish Harry Potter like very quickly, and I was still having like a hard time writing sentences and just like reading. I could spell in cursive perfectly, but like in terms of like understanding things and like reading, it was just different for me. It was really hard. And like looking back at all the stuff I wrote when I was younger, I'm like, oh, little baby dyslexic Hayley. Like, so having that motivation of like, I want to act on that stage. I want to have lines, and I want to be able to like be this character on this stage really motivated me to get better at reading and writing, so I could actually do these things. And then once I was able to do that, I was able to write my own songs. So I started writing music really early.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Man, all roads really meet.
Yeah, no, I mean, like for me, everything creative, like acting or like music, they all stem from the same place for me, of just expression.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into more of what you do with music at the present day, I do have a couple foundation questions I like to check in with everybody on. And this first one's one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Like vinyl or?
Any album.
Okay, so the first one that I know I got, well, actually, like it was more of a gift, but it was a gift that I really wanted. So like I didn't actually buy it, but it was the Michael Jackson like hits. Okay. And I listened to that CD religiously when I got it, because I would, one thing that I did when I was alone, I have a lot of action figures, and I would act them out to his songs. And create stories amongst all the different Michael Jackson songs. So like that was, I loved everything from that CD.
Yeah. Oh man, you were vision boarding music videos and you didn't even realize it.
Yeah. Very young and very alone when I'm doing all these things. I felt like that was kind of like my secret that I didn't really tell anybody. It's just like listening to this Michael Jackson, like greatest hits, and then having like my Robin action figure and my little Barbie action figure, like playing like a love story that had all these obstacles and everything. And yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, definitely a rad first album.
Yeah.
I'm curious now, what was the first one you got on vinyl?
It was Rumors by Fleetwood Mac.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I love that album.
Yeah. No, definitely a quality one.
Yeah.
And then what was one of the first live shows you ever went to that was like specifically one you wanted to go to?
So that was hard. So even though I was very like encouraged creatively to like explore all that stuff when I was a kid, I didn't end up going to like the first live show that I wanted to go to until I was probably like early 20s. Like I was one of those, I never really like went to go see a live show, probably because I was just busy with after school things and everything like that. My schedule just didn't really allow it. But like the first show that I actually saw that I really wanted to go see was with my sister, and it was Walk the Moon.
Oh, cool.
And that was probably one of the funnest like concerts I've been to. But okay, no, that one, and then seeing the Decemberists.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Those were the two shows that I really loved seeing. Like, and I remember like, oh my God, I just want to be on that stage. I want to rock out. So those two shows and those two bands, especially, like me and my friends, we were obsessed with the Decemberists when we were in high school. But
yeah. Man, so many people were.
Yeah.
Quality band.
Yeah. Still obsessed.
Yeah.
Still love their music.
Oh, yeah. All right, now before we officially get into here and now, and this might be a tough one because you've clearly been invested since a very early age, but do you have a defining moment at all where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
Yeah. So, oh God. So this was kind of coinciding with me leaving acting. Mm-hmm. I was cast in this sci-fi film, and it was called Vivian. It never got finished. I spent almost like a year and some change working on this project, and it never got finished. I could dive a little bit more into it, but I think the best thing for me is just to, okay, whatever, we'll dive into it. But it just wasn't, like, I got so much of my hopes up working on this project. It was sci-fi. I'm a sci-fi kid. I love all that stuff. And it was me playing like the lead character in this movie. And I was working with this director, and I felt like so much of my time was put into it, but then it was a very naive kind of acceptance of a role because I didn't get a concept script. I didn't get a full length version of the script. And you're supposed to have both of those things. And I didn't know to ask for that. So I confronted the director, and he told me that, like, oh yeah, I can give it to you tomorrow. And so tomorrow came, I asked for it again. He's like, oh, I lost the script. And I'm like, you've worked on this script for 5 years. Yeah. You've talked to me about this. You've pitched this to me for a whole year of us working on this, and you don't have a concept script. You lost the script you had. So it just kind of, I gave him a month to rewrite the script, and a month came and I messaged him and I didn't hear anything. So it's just like, I think the moment that I realized, like, you know what, music is actually working. Like I'm networking, I'm making things that I'm excited about. And I went to school for acting. Like I minored in music, and music was the thing that I put all my energy into, and I knew it was going to give back to me because it was showing me that it was giving back to me. And then me acting in these roles, me trying out for these parts, it really showed me that you don't have any control as an actor unless you are the director or the writer of the project that you're making. So I think the moment that I realized what that control was for me at that time, and especially kind of going through that process of working on a project I was excited for a year about, but then to have it fizzle out the way that it did, it made me very discouraged to be a part of a bigger project that I was not in full control over. So the moment that I decided I was going to choose music was me taking control of my creative expression. And that was a moment that I'm very proud I did. And I'm very grateful that I decided to do that because it made me choose a path that I am very grateful I've chosen.
Yeah, man, that does sound like a very definitive moment. I'm sorry that happened with the movie, but it sounds like it all worked out in the end.
It did work out in the end, and it didn't ruin film or theater or acting for me. It made me realize what I wanted from it, and I wasn't getting what I wanted from it anymore.
Yeah, it helped you redefine your focus.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. But let's go ahead and let's get on into you in the present day.
Yeah, okay.
We're going to get what I'm pretty sure is a super easy one out of the way, but I ask everybody the same way every time. How'd you pick the name?
That's my name.
All right. Yeah, I had a feeling.
The middle name.
Yeah, that's the. I was kind of assuming it was going to be first middle. That seems to be the combo everybody goes with.
I tried my first and my last name, but it's so much easier to spell Lynn than it is McCurdy. McCurdy's my actual last name, and and also like I'm gonna get married next year, so like
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I think like I didn't know I was getting married, but like when I was planning my stage name, I'm like, this is just easy for everybody. And people already are having a hard time spelling it. So like Hayley Lynn, it sounds good. And it's like also the most 90th name. So many people, but like when you look me up, I'm like, okay, I'm here. Like I'm one of the first things that pops up. So I'm like, it's working for me, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, if it has the S and it's simple to spell, it's easy to remember.
I think it's easy to spell, and yet so many people have gotten it.
Yeah. Haley could not have. Yeah, I guess I could see how.
Haley's crazy. Yeah. Like I love the name, but it's just a crazy name because you have like me and Haley Johnson. We talk about this all the time because like hers, she's just the one Y. I have the two. Everybody spells her name completely different like every time, and it's kind of funny at this point. So
I guess that's fair.
Yeah,
but also I guess it's a good one that you'll be able to respond to easily.
Yeah,
I always think when it's interesting when people pick names that are like sound like regular names but aren't their name at all.
Yeah.
How do you remember that? I could never. If someone was like, "Hey, Steve," I would just be like, "Who's Steve?" Oh, it's me. Yeah. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about your writing process.
Yeah.
And we're gonna break it up into chunks, but we're gonna start right at the beginning. So when you get inspired, you're ready to make music. What are some of the things you do to get a track started?
Really, it hits in a lot of different ways. I've had those moments where it's like lightning in a bottle and you're like, I got it. And then you just write it in 10 minutes or maybe 20 minutes. And it's just so quickly. But then one of the things I've been trying to do more is writing from the perspective of like, this is what I want to write. Like, how am I going to get there? How am I going to get from point A to point B? Sometimes I write like a chorus and then I'm like, okay, that's my thesis statement of my song. How do I get from point A to point B? Like, what's the story that I'm saying? So it really depends on what I'm writing, where I'm going. Like, I think this current album I'm working on has been fleshed out over the course of the last 2 years. So a lot of these songs happened because of events or because I was really inspired or sad or angry, and they really are really fresh. I think the songs when I'm really inspired are the freshest ones, like right after something happens. Like one song in particular that I wrote, it's called The Love I Always Wanted. It's not out. It's going to be probably 2025, 2026. We want to record everything the right way. But I wrote that song after like 2 events that kind of happened to me. And I kind of, the whole song was written from an appreciation place of like, I'm writing this song for my future husband because he really showed up for me in ways that I just never had another person show up for me for. And I wrote, like, after I had these events kind of happen, like, that was like I sat down and I wrote that really in one night. So, but then there's songs where you're like, I want to write this song and I want it to be called this title. So an example of this was, I guess I'll use this for my last album, Horizon, the song Horizon. I knew I wanted a song called Horizon because I wanted the album to be called Horizon. Yeah. So at the time, me and James Villa, we started like writing like a first verse and a chorus. And then we sat on it for a little bit. And then we revisited it and we finished out the song. So like some songs, it can be like, I just want it to be called this, or I want this to be about this. And then it takes a little bit more time to actually finish the beginning, middle, and end of it. So it just depends, I guess. Yeah. I don't really have a perfect like set way of writing music. I just know that it helps to have notes on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little notebook in my purse I carry with me religiously, and every single piece of paper that I have on me with a pen, I need to write down something. So it's really just a consistent practice that if you're like me, are obsessed with, and you have to write everything down all the time. So I have like notes in my phone up the wazoo, and sometimes I have like little receipts that have like lyrics on them because I just need to write everything down if I like think about it. I'm like, oh, I like those words together. Or, oh, I like that melody. Oh, I'll hum this in my phone. So it's really like lightning in a bottle for me. It's really like lightning. Like if I feel something, I have to write it down, and maybe I use it for later. Maybe I use it for today, but it has to be written down in some way. And then it will kind of write itself out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
For all the like ones that you write on random pieces of paper, do you later compile them all into one place?
Yeah, I have a jar at home where I put all my little pieces.
So you don't just like transcribe them onto another. You just keep the original source.
I can, but sometimes I just like I just put it into my jar at home, and I'm like, these are my lyric jar. And then like sometimes like you grab the lyrics from the jar and you're like, okay, does this kind of piece into a puzzle some way? And sometimes it does. Sometimes you watch a lot of, or you binge watch a lot of Love is Blind with your tour mate or your pal, and you write a song based off of the first like lyrics you hear in each segment of the show, and then you write a song from that. So it's to me it's like a game. It's just like I'm always thinking about it. I'm always just trying to like, oh, that seems fun. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, that's rad. That's a cool way to be always pulling from life.
Yeah.
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 And then once you get a track finished writing, so it doesn't have to be like recorded and released per se, but once you got to the point where you can start learning it and really getting ready to get it out there, how long do you feel it takes you to get comfortable enough to perform a song?
When it's solo, it could really happen like the next day. Sometimes I like to give myself like a little bit of time to be like, okay, I got to really embody this song. And I also want it to feel honest. I don't want to read it off my phone.
Yeah. Unless
it is like a songwriter round where you're like, okay, I guess I'm sharing new stuff. So it's okay to read stuff off your phone. But I'd say like as early as the next day, but also if it needs to kind of like settle in and I need to practice a little bit more because I challenged myself the way that I wrote it, then it might take like maybe 2 or 3 days.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
Yeah,
well,
it just
that's still
depends.
Pretty quick turnaround time, all things considered.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I get so inspired, and like when I really love a song that like I want to share it with people. Like I I'm notorious for just texting a whole bunch of my friends being like, hey, listen to this song because I want you to hear this song. And then I guess I do kind of gauge their reactions to be like, okay, this is good. This is my intuition being like, this is good. But
okay,
definitely send it to a lot of people when I finally finish everything.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I guess that makes sense because, I went and checked out your music on Spotify, and you've got music going all the way back to 2016.
Yeah.
You've been putting it out for a while now. So I imagine you're probably pretty locked into the process.
I definitely know what works for me and what doesn't work for me. I have been writing with a lot of other people too. So like I've co-written songs with 4 other artists. So I think when I'm in the mindset of I'm writing for someone else, then I'm like, okay, questions. This is what we're doing. Mad Libs. Here we go. Then I kind of have like a way I do of things, of like organizing thoughts and everything. But if it's for something like what I'm doing, then it's I give myself a little bit more grace and a little more lenience of like, okay, we got to honor the song and we got to honor the story. So we're just going to let this happen the way that it will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and something else I noticed because I checked out a pretty fair amount of your music. I tried to educate myself. I couldn't listen to everything, respectfully. I tried to, but there's a lot there.
There's a lot.
But one thing I noticed is you have a really cool variety of music.
Thank you.
Like it all still sounds like you.
Yeah.
But there were some that were a little more dancey. There were some that were a little more heartfelt. There were some that were a little more, almost like a little more like country-esque even.
I've changed a lot.
Yeah.
I've changed a lot. And even my next album's going to be very different from everything I released. So.
And see, I kind of had a feeling about that.
Yeah.
One thing I like is that there's not like, it doesn't feel like there's like exactly an era in your music. I feel like you keep coming back to some of these sounds that I feel like have kind of come your like key and quintessential ones. Mm-hmm. And then one other thing, and this is just a personal notice, something I really enjoyed. I loved that you opened up Horizons with Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
One of my favorite tracks of yours.
Thank you.
I was trying to figure out how to mention it as the single. And then when I got to the album and saw it was there, I was like,
yes.
Yes. So big fan.
Thank you.
But I was also checking out your most recent work, The Art of Letting Go Side.
Yeah.
Just came out, or no, it came out earlier this year.
Like March.
Yeah.
And
it's, it's 5 tracks, and it's, in my opinion, some of your strongest work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sonically, it's awesome, but also there's a depth in like every track, and as it progresses, it kind of goes more and more into it. The arrangement is dialed, especially for only being 5 tracks. Like, and again, this is just a personal note. I appreciate that you made the final track the title track.
Thanks. Yeah, I did that with Horizon too. Horizon was like the last track of the last album, but like I felt like with The Art of Letting Go, I mean the album is an amalgamation of songs about just kind of me understanding what I was going through at the time and what I went through, but also what I held on to and what kind of ultimately led to patterns I've kind of done in my life, just being a human. And so The Art of Letting Go, it really is just me letting go of these songs the way that so when I was making these songs, a lot of them I co-wrote with Aaron Peterson of New Body Electric, and he really allowed me to produce these songs and record these songs in a way I've never recorded music before. Like I played a lot of the instruments, like even like little drum stuff.
Yeah.
Not all the drums.
Yeah.
But, I've never really had that hands-on of a experience with a record before. So just having that experience, but also like lyrically just kind of making things that really allowed myself to feel free was really awesome. I'm really grateful that Aaron just made a perfect space for me to be able to do that kind of stuff. And I think a big part of it is I'm a perfectionist. And so there is a level of like being hard on myself when I am doing a lot of the little things like, oh, I can't do this. But like Aaron really is like, no, you can do this. And it's going to sound good. And it worked out with everything. So I feel like in terms of the messages behind the songs, I think that like everything lyrically was just a kind of a random part of what I was going through, like over the course of the time that we worked on that record. And I think that it was hard. I think it was also hard to feel a little lost at the time too. So I think that you can kind of feel a little bit of that lostness in some of the songs, but nothing's really like completely tied together.
Yeah.
Like when I wrote Horizon, I had like a lot of these different songs. It's like a way to kind of heal myself through the pandemic. And like, I mean, we were all going through it. Like we all were like suffering and just trying to like find mental clarity and mental peace. So I think when I wrote all those songs, I was in the same mindset, like, okay, I'm going to try to make myself feel better by writing certain songs or expressing myself in certain ways. And, you know, getting those feelings out there with like really deep songs, but also something fun like a track that me and Larissa sang together of like, all my friends hate you now, you know, shout out to Larissa. I love Larissa. But I think with this record, I felt really lost when I was making it because I felt like, I mean, one of the final tracks of Horizons, I don't know where I'm going, like, I like something about like, I can't even remember my own lyrics to the song. I don't know what's waiting beyond my horizon. So like I had this big question mark after I made that record, being like, I don't know what I'm going to do with like music. I feel like there were like relationship things that were happening in my life at the time that kind of, it kind of made me feel like what is my identity? Like, who am I if these things are changing? So, I think I'm one of those people that kind of attaches to people. And I think my identity kind of becomes part of, like, their identity kind of becomes part of my identity. So I think that I was in this place where, you know, things were rocky with who I was in love with. And I think that kind of made me feel a little bit lost when I was recording these songs. And I think, I mean, after everything that I made with Aaron, I'm very grateful for everything that we made. I think every song I really love, but I also think it's kind of gave me the confidence to be like, you know what, like the things that I was a perfectionist about, like it's okay to just let these things go and, you know, just make something for the sake of expression. And I'm really grateful, and I love all the songs that I was able to make with Aaron for that. And I thank you, Aaron, for all of that.
Yeah. No, well, like I said, it's a solid body of work. It's really, and now hearing that energy is definitely very present in it. And it sounds like, even because, you know, again, you've been doing music for a long time, you're no stranger to it, but it sounds like you experienced a lot of growth. It sounds like you experienced even a way of growing inside and outside of music, all kind of at the same time.
I think with my history with music, I think I've grown as a person as my music has grown, because I think that there's different sounds that I'm attracted to, and there's different things I'm like, okay, I want to make this, or I want to make that. And I'm constantly surrounded by really impeccable, talented musicians who are just completely authentically themselves, which has been really inspirational. And I think for me, when I feel lost, then my music kind of feels a little like ethereal or just, you know, experimental. But then I also think it kind of made me into who I am today, which is like, I'm really gung-ho, and I'm kind of a lot more sure of myself for this next album, like of what I kind of want to say. Because I think with the last record, I was really focused on expressing things musically and the instrumentation and everything. But I think lyrically, I'm going to be completely authentic in the next record. Not saying I wasn't authentic in the last one, but I think things are just going to be a little bit more raw and a little bit more honest.
Yeah, well, definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Now, I am curious to know, because you've got a fair amount of music.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite tracks of yours to perform?
I really love Well, it's hard because a lot of my new stuff that isn't recorded, I love performing the most right now with my full band, because we're kind of in the rock area of my life. I've been country, I've been folk, I've been pop, I've been indie, and now we're going in the rock direction. And I would say my new stuff. Is like the stuff I'm really the most excited about performing.
Okay, I guess what if we were going to go see you live tomorrow? What would be the song that you'd be playing on the set list that you'd be most excited about?
This song, Firestarter. I really love playing the song Firestarter. It's the title track of my next album. Me and my partner, my fiance, we co-wrote it together, and I really think it's an important song. I think that, especially when he plays it with me, I think it's a really important song. If we're going for theatrics, though, I would say this other song that's called Side Chick.
Okay.
Which is, that's on the next record, too.
Oh.
I just think the whole band, we've really fine-tuned everything, and all the players are just so good that when we perform those songs live, it's just so fun. We're really theatrical with it. Like, we're just like foots on drum kits and everything. And it's just really awesome. And this finally feels like me. If I was to say like, this feels like me, this feels like me.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess since you mentioned, I'm curious, is your fiance like an active musician as well?
Yeah. His name is Blake Johnston, and he has this project called The Filament with an F. And they are incredible. Him and his brother started the band with their friends, and they're really good. I met Blake at an open mic.
Oh, okay.
Called Atlantis Lounge, and it was like the last night of that open mic where I heard him sing one of his songs, and I'm like, wow, he's really good. And so I was like, I gotta write with this guy. So I gave him my card, not gave him, I have one of those scan cards. So like, I'm like, scan this card. And he took it, and I'm like, no, I need that back. Can you scan it? I was like, oh, got it. So I only had the one card, but yeah, that's where we met. And then we just kind of started writing together very platonically. Like, it wasn't until really the summer, like June, where we caught feelings. I definitely friend zoned him and called him buddy for a while.
Okay.
But yeah, he does his own project too. He kind of has a mix of like, his voice can be Josh Turner or Nirvana. Like, he has such a wide range, and he's such a fantastic singer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I imagine there's probably a good understanding of like your need to make music and the time it can occupy sometimes as well, which I feel goes a long way.
Yeah. Like, I think we've found a really good balance, because we didn't, when we actually started catching feelings for each other, it wasn't music that kind of made us like each other. It was like, wow, we're really good at making music together, and we have so much in common.
Yeah.
Which was really nice to be able to fall in love with all these real things in our lives that kind of pulled us together, but also like this deep passion for music that just makes writing together really wonderful.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now I want to take a moment. I want to zoom out. I want to kind of look at music on a wider scale.
Gotcha.
What are some of the things that are like inspiring you at the moment? What are some things that either you're listening to or you found recently that are just kind of leaning in towards helping you like right now?
I have been obsessed with Noah Kahan. I love all his music. I mean, when I first started writing music, I had like a folk trio. That was like my first formation. So I've always had a deep love for folk music. Chris Thiel, all that stuff. But I think the one thing I love about Noah Kahan's writing is just how honest it is. Like, he has his own struggles. We hear it in his music, but he has just this beautiful side of his music that just makes you feel less alone with everything that he struggles. Like, I have my own things I'm working through, and I love that it's like a big hug. It's like a big hug, and it makes you feel like, oh, we got our problems together, so we're gonna be okay, you know?
Yeah.
Love his music. And there's been just a inspiration just really from all my friends. Like, I have been obsessed with Hayley Johnson's new EP, Late Bloomer, and I'm blown away by everything that she releases. Like, I've been a Hayley Johnson fan ever since 2016, 2015. And then I realized, she's friends with my sister's friends group. And then we became friends. And then I'm like, oh my God. So just everything that she's doing right now, I love her lyrics. Her voice is crazy. But also, like, my other friends, my friend Kendall Lujan is just releasing the most beautiful music ever right now, and she's on tour. My friend Larissa, she's like releasing bangers, like freaking love Medusa and Doom. Doom just came out, so really just there's been inspiration from all my friends, which is just really cool, and it's really inspired me to like just be gung-ho and just kind of go for it with my own music. So for other artists, What else have I been listening to? Okay, Bill Murray. Have you heard of the?
Yep.
Yes. Oh my God, I love Bill Murray. Oh, there's so many songs that are just like, he blows my mind with all the genre bending that his band does, and the saxophone player who's kind of like a goblin sometimes, but it's just, I love Bill Murray. So I've just been creative and fun, having like fun music in my life again has just been so great. So Bill Murray, this new band that I saw live at the Hawthorne Theater, Honey Revenge.
Ooh, good name.
Oh, so good. If you like emo music, like think of Hayley Williams emo music. Honey Revenge is killer. Freaking love them. Another one is Meet Me at the Altar. Freaking love that band. I was just like, I want to start a female punk band because of just everything that they do. It's just like, all members are amazing. They're all so good. I saw them live at the Hawthorne Theater too, and just I've been obsessed with them ever since I first heard their song. Cool. Like, you're so cool. And love them. I've really been like all this new emo music that's kind of come into my life. From just Meet Me at the Altar to Honey Revenge. Everything is just like, it's like feeding my the hole in my soul. There's a better way to say that.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I appreciate the enthusiasm. You know, that's a question that every time I ask it, I'm like, what is the range of this answer going to be? And I really like that there's like your appreciation for current music, your appreciation for things that are happening, and for like sounds and styles. Like it's really cool. It's really nice to hear. There's
just so much good music out there right now, and I really want to share stages with those people. Like I would die to be on a bill with Meet Me at the Altar. Like that's the bill I would always want to be on, is Meet Me at the Altar with Honey Revenge, and then it's Hayley Lynn and the Bad Habits or whatever my band name is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it'll happen at some point.
Yeah.
Now, before we move into the next portion, this next question is probably the densest question in the interview.
Cool.
But we talked a lot about your experience with music, the actions, the reactions. But when it's just you and music one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
It's my medicine. It's like the delicious, sweet medicine that I've always needed. When I was younger, I was bullied a lot. And one of the things that I would do is at my schools, because I got moved around a lot because of it, I would find a musical instrument and I would just write with it. So in middle school, I found our school's piano and I would just hang out there the whole lunch period writing stuff. And that made me feel better. It made me feel just to have that place where I'd feel safe is exactly what music is for me. Music is my safe place. And it feels like the most me version of myself is when I'm writing or when I'm on a piano or on a guitar. So it is me. And it's the best part of being alive for me is that place. This going pretty deep.
No, I appreciate that. Music is important to everybody for different reasons.
Yeah.
But I think the opportunity to express that is the thing that gives other people an opportunity to understand as well. So that's why the question, I feel, is really the most important one to ask.
Yeah.
But that is a very real answer, and I appreciate you sharing it.
Thanks.
Yeah. But now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions. Okay. And for these, sky's the limit. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one's pretty straightforward. Okay. If you could work with any one artist or any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive. Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
I really want Hayley Williams to teach me how to sing like her. I just want to learn how to sing like Hayley Williams. Like, just if she was my mentor, that would be amazing. For two Haleys to unite like that. In terms of actually working with people, I want to co-write with Meet Me at the Altar. I really love them so much. I really just want to write with them, for them. What else? I just want to high five Avril Lavigne. I want to high five her.
Yeah.
And I want to be best friends with her because everything that she did when I was growing up was just my favorite.
Yeah.
That was my second CD that I would buy was Avril Lavigne's record.
My dad bought that CD. And not like for one of us. My dad bought that CD.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, this is fire. And I was like, yeah.
This is just for me. No.
Well, I mean, he let us listen to it, but he was like, he bought it so he could put it on.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I got introduced to her like right from the start, and definitely really influential name.
Yeah. I like everything, like songwriting wise, like her, Alanis Morissette, Hayley Williams, all that jazz, all my favorites.
Hell yeah.
Who else? There's too many people.
I know. That's it. And it's not, I'm sure we could spend all day on just the potential people.
Let's stick with that. Like I want Hayley Williams to teach me how to sing. I want to co-write with Meet Me at the Altar, and I want to high five Avril Lavigne.
Hell yeah. And then subsequently, who's a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
I love Jay Graves.
Yeah.
Jay Graves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just, they're so powerful. Like I think one time it was like back in 2020 or 2019. I think this was before they blew up, but I was watching their music since back then. But I think we messaged each other, like maybe we commented on like a thing, and they were like, would you ever want to co-write? Or I might have asked them, would you want to co-write? And that was like our only time ever talking to each other. But I'm like, I think they're awesome. And them and Maita. I got to see Maita at the Shady Pines Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen them online all the time, but that was like such a cool experience watching them perform at that festival. And I would love to connect with them, but that and Jay Graves.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, you know what to do. At them in the comments. Let's see if we can make that happen.
Hi.
And also, Jay Graves, you're welcome on the show anytime.
Yeah, please.
And then, like I said before, sky's the limits, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power. It was guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show. It doesn't have to be a venue. It could be anywhere. Where would you want to perform?
That's a good question. I think I would love to perform in Central Park.
Okay.
When I went to New York back in 2016, I just remember walking around there and like my friend was talking to me about like the Shakespeare festival that's happening there. And I just the one huge city, the like one world renowned city that is just like all about inspiration, but the park is like not as beautiful as Portland parks, but it still felt like so historic.
Yeah.
And just to be able to play for a whole crowd, like that whole park. If there was like a one section of the park that we could fit like a good chunk of people, that would be really cool. Because I've always loved that park, and I would love to play a show there. I don't know how, but
I think they do that there. I think like them there and like somewhere in San Francisco, they have like
that would be
those
awesome.
parks, they have like events that are like an in the park event.
That'd be so cool. I would love that. But either there or somewhere in France, because I love France. I'm a big Stromae fan, so if I ever opened for Stromae, that would kill me from delight and happiness. So
yeah. Hell yeah. All right. And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday. Who would you want an album from?
June Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a good answer.
June Carter. She was such a great writer. And me and my partner were playing a June Carter Johnny Cash tribute show at the end of this month. And she was such a prolific writer. But I loved all the stuff that she and Johnny wrote together. I love that she wrote for Johnny. But I like she recorded a lot of her old songs again, like when she was older. So like you definitely like hear her voice on those songs again. But I love to hear a new album from her with her new thoughts. Like I would love to hear her thoughts about like if she was alive today, just to hear a whole album of what she thinks of the world and everything.
Yeah.
She was such a wonderful human in music and outside of music. I love June Carter.
Yeah. No, that's a great answer.
Yeah.
All right. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up.
Okay.
What can we look forward to between, let's say, now and April?
I'm releasing a single at the end of this month of October. So October 25th, my next single is called Stay Awake. And that's a spooky song I'm going to be releasing out there. Honestly, I'm kind of in recording mode. So we're just kind of planning to record the next album that we hope to have ready by the end of June of next year.
Okay.
Where we can start releasing singles and everything. So I'm kind of in the little hermit recording mode right now.
It's that time of the year, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then for this next one, go and look straight at your camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
Well, you can find me on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, all that jazz. Deezer. I don't know what Deezer is, but you can find me on Deezer. You can also find my music videos on YouTube. We have a bunch of really fun videos on there as well. And I have a Patreon. You can find me on Patreon, TikTok, everything. Just look for me, spell my name right, you can find me.
Oh, yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you'd like to put on while you're on here?
I really love to get Blake on here for his band.
Don't quote me on this, but I think I've already messaged him.
Oh, you are? Okay,
I'll double check.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he's I just love everything that he's been doing, and I'm just a little proud fiance over here. So definitely him. Hayley Johnson, if you haven't yet, she's awesome. Who else? Kendall Lujan too. Yeah, she's just coming back from a European tour, so she'll be back in the States, I think, at the end of this month. But definitely have her on. She's amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, thank you for those recs.
Of course. Yeah.
All right. With that being said, I've got one last question to go.
Okay.
Before we do, I'm gonna steal the camera for just a second.
Okay.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Raw Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation.
All right.
But what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? It's a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know. What do you think everybody should know?
Well, The Con, Tegan and Sarah.
Okay, hell yeah.
I mean, that's like, for me, I love that album. Like, Tegan and Sarah, like, my queer little heart, I love them growing up. So and I don't know, like, my sister introduced me to them when I was growing up, but everything about that record just like resonates with such a nostalgic part of myself. And their songwriting, everything, like, I'm a lifetime Tegan and Sarah fan because of that record.
That is a great rec.
Yeah.
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 All right. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Hayley Lynn.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.